All right, TikTok, I need you to work your magic.
Go watch that video. It's a stitch that Tizzy did of somebody else's video, and it's very important to understand what happened to that guy. The short of it is that he got profiled from matching the description of someone, which comes up far too often in this country. So let me break down the tiers of enforcement in the United States for you. We have the police and sheriff's offices, right? And while I'd like to believe that most people get into those jobs because they want to do good, unfortunately, as I keep seeing article after article, it looks like there's just some really racist people who want to be armed and just roam the streets and the cities, just going after people they think are suspect and profiling them. Next up, you have your security guards, or as I grew up learning, are rent-a-cops. They are. Your mall guards, armed, unarmed, all the same. These people either could not cut it as a police officer, so security is the next big step. Maybe they're ex-military, or maybe they just couldn't cut it elsewhere, so now they're rent-a-cops is what they are. And they think they're police. The complex on security people is really ridiculous. I've met very few good security guards. I've worked security myself in the past, so I know that environment. I know those kind of people. And they think that they're just high and mighty because they have a baton, a gun, and other stuff, and no, they're not, and they don't belong to what they're doing. And then we have loss prevention. We have loss prevention that is now profiling people in stores, which I know this isn't the first time. This is something that's reoccurring. And they're making these kind of mistakes. Now, I want to go ahead and preface this with something here and ask you a question and see in the comments if you can answer here what your thoughts are. But when it comes to security type positions and protection, right, what do you think the highest tier of that is? What would you say the highest branch or the highest division is in security? And you put that there. I'm going to give you my scale, okay? I think the top of the top would be something in the military, right? Those are the highest in security, the best trained, the best people ever. Some people have this idea that military people are flawless, infallible people who are trained to such a degree that they can make no mistakes, which is not true, but okay, we'll say that. So below that, I would put like NSA, CIA, right? Those agents, CIA agents must be top of the line based on movies and film, right? And then you start getting down the rung, and based on what films you watch, most people get the idea that FBI are either really good or really inept. And then you have the police, just regular police, right? And most movies and video games portray police as just an inept, ridiculous force of people who don't know anything and make the wrong call all the time. Take that as you will. And then you have security. They're even a bigger joke. And then you have the lowest rung, which is loss prevention. We don't even make movies about loss prevention people, do we? We had that Paul Blart Mall Cop, which was a mockery of those kind of people, right? So if we look at that, though, one thing is changes the pay scale, right? We expect that the higher up you are, the more money you'll make. So if we expect a CIA agent or an FBI agent to be making pretty decent money and to know, oh my God, we know the criminals so well, we can do these trends and stuff, then why would we trust a loss prevention person to be profiling people? Why? The average wage, and I looked this up on multiple sites, the average wage, I took an average of the averages, was around $16 an hour for a loss prevention person. And I can guarantee you there's not that much training going in those positions. I'm sure somebody will pop in the comments or somebody's like, oh, I trained a lot and you don't have enough. Companies are not going to invest that much money into you to go profile people. The purpose of loss prevention, plain and simple, is because companies get insurance payments back for loss, is what they get. They can claim that stolen goods were loss and they get insurance money, but they have to prove that they tried to do something about the theft happening. And so that's why they have loss prevention. That's why they don't want you to stop anybody up to a certain point. Because they don't care about recovering the item. They just want to show that we tried. We sent loss prevention. We lost this much money this year. And I think Walmart had they posted and said they had close to $1 billion in loss. That's not that big of a loss for them. They got to either write it off or they got some of that money back via insurance claims. So it's not that bad for them. And this idea of loss prevention being such an issue, it is not. Somebody stealing from the dollar store is not hurting that company that much. I don't buy that for a minute. Nobody else should either. People are not running out of the stores with enough product to make a big difference. And I know loss prevention people are like, you don't know, you haven't seen the numbers. I don't have to. I can go look up loss reports for these companies and see that they're not losing that much. And then try to look into their insurance claims too. If you're working with these companies, try to get that information. See what they're not losing, what they're getting back. So no, I don't buy this. We need to stop profiling people. This is why I believe police should be in a lesser capacity. We don't. We cannot trust the enforcement forces we have to protect us anymore, as they're hurting more people than they're helping. And if you don't like that, if you're an officer and you think that's bad, then you need to start being the change to make things better. If you know there's a dirty cop within your area, you know there's a cop that's doing bad things, report them. Stop this brotherhood mentality that's hurting us all. You want to be a good cop? Go be a good cop. Maybe you need to go back and watch something like Training Day to understand what it looks like to do the right thing when the odds are stacked against you. And yes, I know that's a fantasy as well, but so are these other claims we have about police being so great at this point. We need to make those changes.